Let's do this.
Yo, what is going on, you guys? This is Gaming with Sal. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I want to go ahead and just give you guys my overall review impressions of the Modern Warfare Alpha that we just got to play this past weekend, if you're on the PlayStation 4 that is. And honestly, I'm really upset that the Alpha isn't available anymore for us to play, because I was trying to log onto my PS4 today since I had nothing to do, and I realized, well, the Alpha is something I can't play anymore, and unfortunately I have to go back to a game such as Black Ops 4. Well, I don't have to, but you know, it was just kind of upsetting to know that that's the most recent Call of Duty game we have right now to play before Modern Warfare comes out. So anyways, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the things I really liked about Modern Warfare overall, and not just the gunfight game mode, because I feel like there's a lot more to this alpha that we can take away from besides the 2v2 mode. And one of those things are the weapons. So yes, this is part of the overall review and impressions. When it comes down to the weapons, they actually felt mean. They felt powerful. They felt like they had a kick to them, you know? And I feel like that's something that Call of Duty not only hasn't been able to capture in a while, I feel like it hasn't been able to capture that at all in the entire franchise's history the way that Modern Warfare just did. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Call of Duty has always been an arcade shooter. It hasn't been realistic such as Battlefield or even something like Rainbow Six Siege by comparison. At the end of the day, Modern Warfare is still trying to do what it's been doing since it went into development, and that is to make it realistic and feel as authentic as possible. Now, we've heard that many times before when it comes to past Call of Duty titles, well, at least the authentic part, right? But when looking at games like Black Ops 4 and when it was first revealed back at the community reveal event, they talked about how the weapons were going to have more characteristics, such as the smoke coming out of the end of the barrel, and they're going to have their own recoil patterns and stuff like that. That was cool and all, right? But it still felt very arcadey. Here in Modern Warfare, I feel like they are doing the same exact thing that Black Ops 4 was actually trying to do, but on a much realistic scale. The barrels still shoot out smoke at the end of every single time you fire. They have crazy amount of recoil, okay? Like, you can actually see your character struggling to kind of put the weapon back to where it's supposed to be after firing each shot, and thus making every single shot afterwards even harder to control. So that's another thing I really do like, because it actually increases the skill gap between good players and bad players, and it rewards good players for actually being able to know how to handle the weapon, which, let's be honest, rewarding good players, that hasn't been seen in a long time within the Call of Duty franchise, at least for sure when it came down to the past few years. Another thing I liked were the maps. Now, I know that when it comes down to the 2v2 mode, these maps are very small scaled, sort of like Shipment from Modern Warfare 1 or Rust from Modern Warfare 2, but at the end of the day, I'm talking about the visuals. At first, when I saw like first gameplay of Modern Warfare back about a month ago or so, I was like, you know what, they talked about how graphically the game was going to look amazing and all, but it kinda doesn't meet the expectations I had for it. But then again, later on I realized it was Twitch stream, so the quality wasn't the best that it could have been. On top of that, we had Twitch streamers screaming in the background the entire time, and I was watching it from my computer screen. You know, whenever you watch gameplay from like the computer screen or on YouTube or whatever, it's much more different than what you're going to be seeing in front of your own two eyes on your monitor on your end. And that statement that I just said couldn't have been any more true than it was these past few days, because visually, guys, this game looks awesome. And mind you, I have the original PS4. I don't have the PS4 Pro or the PS4 Slim, so in terms of graphical standpoints, it looked amazing on my regular PS4. So I can't even imagine how it would look on a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X or even something like the PC. Now, one more thing that I really liked about Modern Warfare in general, and not just the 2v2 mode, is the settings menu. Guys, there is a lot of options in terms of how you want your weapons to act in game, how you want your movement to be like, down to the settings of your controllers and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of different options for us to be able to play with, and on top of that, within the settings, this was locked for the alpha, but apparently they have support for mouse and keyboard even on console, and the game will detect what input device you have and pair you up with players who have the same input device. Now, the alpha did have a problem with this, which I'll go into some of the negatives that I saw, and that is people were somehow able to use mouse and keyboard, but it was being detected as a controller. And I saw this myself many times over this past weekend that I was playing. I even streamed this game, and someone in my stream told me in the live chat that they also saw a mouse symbol next to someone's name within the lobby, which which means mouse and keyboard was somehow able to be used this past weekend, but sometimes, not all the time, it was being detected as a controller. Now, why is this a problem? Well, think about it this way. On PC, there's no such thing as aim assist or target assist because the mouse itself apparently is so accurate, and the reason I said apparently is because I've never played anything on PC in terms of a first-person shooter, but a lot of people who have that I know of told me that the mouse and keyboard is so accurate to where you don't even need that. So imagine throwing something like the mouse and keyboard with that logic on a console and having it be read as a controller, thus having a mouse and keyboard with aim assist. Yeah, you're pretty much a god in these lobbies, and I'm pretty sure that this is just an issue within the alpha. If somebody addresses this to Infinity Ward, they will fix it immediately because that kind of goes against the entire system that they have going here in terms of input devices. So Infinity Ward, if you're listening to this video, please go ahead and take a note of that just in case we don't have the same issue during the beta and for the launch of the game. Another issue that I really didn't have much of a problem with, but I've seen other people talk about, is taking damage and your screen going to black and white. So for many of you guys, you know that whenever you take damage within a Call of Duty title, that your screen kind of has this blood splatter all over and has this red tint to it to basically show you that you've taken damage. Well, the same feature, of course, is here in Modern Warfare, just like every other Call of Duty, except initially, whenever you go down to a very low amount of health, your screen turns black and white, indicating that you're probably like one shot away from being taken out, or maybe two at max, and that you need to get to cover and hide. Now, the black and white part, believe it or not, doesn't bother me at all. If anything, I think it's kind of cool. But the part that a lot of people are having an issue with, and when it comes down to me, I'm kind of iffy about, is how you can't hear anything. Like, imagine someone throwing a flashbang in front of you in real life, right? And your ears start ringing. That's the kind of effect you end up going through when you're taking in a lot of damage. And that might be a problem because suppose you're in a situation where there's enemies all over you. So because you're taking in a lot of damage, you're not able to hear them anymore. You know, what's going to happen when you're playing modes like 10v10 or 20v20 and you somehow made it into the enemy's spawn point? Because of the fact that you can't hear anyone since you have low health, that might cause you to be at a huge disadvantage, even though you did all that work to be able to put yourself in a position that can allow you to take out a lot of other enemies. Plus, as of right now, we don't have a mini-map in the standard game modes for Modern Warfare. I mean, that could change after the beta comes out and depending on how people react to it, but assuming that we don't have a mini-map as of right now, audio quality is going to be absolutely key when playing this game. And unfortunately, if you don't own any sort of headset, you might actually be at a disadvantage versus someone who does. So we need to make sure that the audio is top-notch, and that goes for this effect that we go through when our character takes in damage. So I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest, because if you look at it from one point of view, it kind of is realistic in the sense that, well, if you were to take damage like that in real life, you probably would not be able to hear anything around you because of the shock that you're in. So that's probably why they went with that design choice to begin with. But at the same time, this is still a video game. We need to kind of find that sweet spot between reality and video game logic, right? So when it comes down to Modern Warfare, and for the sake of the game, I do think that maybe the part where they distort your audio should be tuned down a little bit, if not maybe entirely removed based off of community feedback. So if you got a chance to play the alpha and this was something that was bothering you, let Infinity Ward know through Twitter or Reddit or anything like that, or just wait until the beta and see how you feel about it for yourself. And then finally, one minor issue that I personally didn't have, but a few people were talking about, was the footstep audio. Some people were saying that the footsteps of their own character was a little too loud and that it made it harder for them to listen for other people's footsteps that they were trying to go for or look for. So at the end of the day, Infinity Ward did address this issue as well, and they did go ahead apparently and confirm that they will be tuning the footstep audio, so that's a very good sign. And other than that, I guess the only complaint I have left now is that this alpha couldn't have lasted any longer. I mean, come on, man. Couldn't we have extended this until Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. That's just my opinion. But overall, this game is amazing from what I saw in this 2v2 mode. Of course, I can't judge it entirely just yet because we haven't gotten to play modes like Domination, Team Deathmatch. At the end of the day, this is a party-like game mode, so we can't make our full judgment about the game. On top of that, we can't see what's going to be happening 4 months after the game launches, and the reason I say that is because that's when things start to get a little bit more egregious, microtransactions start kicking in, and that's just a whole different topic of its own. But overall, from what I'm seeing initially here, Modern Warfare has a lot of potential. It can go in so many of the right directions. It's already going in so many right directions because of the decisions that they decided to go with already. So I have a lot of faith in this game as of right now, and I guess this is where I want to go ahead and give it to you guys. If you had the chance to play the alpha this weekend, what did you guys think of it? What are some of the things that you liked, some of the things that you disliked? And if you guys didn't get to play the alpha, what do you feel like, based based off of the gameplay you probably saw? And are you guys excited for the beta this upcoming September? I know I am. I hope you are too, but with that said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in today's video. So if you guys enjoyed it, please go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon so you'll never miss an upload, and follow me on my social media accounts to stay connected. Links will all be in the description below. And I will go ahead and talk to you guys in the next one. So take care of yourselves and bye.